In May, the Central Platte and Twin Platte Natural Resources Districts proposed a plan to increase Platte River flows by substituting irrigation wells for irrigation water from Lake McConaughy. UNL Extension Ag and Water Law Specialist Dave Aiken joined us on Thursday to discuss the plan.
Basically, they want to put in between 400 and 450 irrigation wells in the area that's irrigated in the Central District, and have those people go off using water from Lake McConaughy and use irrigation water from the wells instead.
And what are they hoping to accomplish? What's the goal here?
Well, the water that's in Lake McConaughy could be used to meet in-stream flow requirements for endangered species, and then during the non-irrigation season they would also run water from Lake McConaughy through the irrigation canals to try to recharge the groundwater supplies.
Is it something that would work? And I guess if it would work, what are the drawbacks to using that proposal?
Well, in theory it should work. We don't have the details, so we can't really evaluate whether it would work the way they want it to or not. They're talking about pumping a lot of groundwater, so I mean that impact would have to be looked at pretty closely. But there are some drawbacks. Not all the land that's being irrigated from canal water in the Central District, they don't all necessarily have good enough groundwater for an irrigation well. So that's a problem. A lot of the land is rented, and so if you're talking about going from surface water to groundwater and a center pivot and a new well and all that stuff, that may be tough in a lease situation where you got to get the landlord and the tenant to agree to everything and stuff like that.
Certainly irrigators, I would assume, would be hesitant to switch to from something that they know works.
Well, and they have some of the best water rights in the surface water rights in the state of Nebraska, and I would not be real anxious about trading those in for something else. So but for me, the big issue is what I call the donut hole in Nebraska water law.
The donut hole being?
Well, in Nebraska, if stream flows are low and irrigation wells are depleting the stream, we don't do any. We let the irrigation wells continue to pump even though the stream is being dried up. So
Nebraska law doesn't deal with that then?
We do not. We try to prevent it. Our law in terms of fully appropriated streams. The Department of Natural Resources does the study every year on all the river basins in the state, and if it looks like there's going to be a problem with wells drying up streams in the future, then they cut off new wells. But that's as far as it goes.
Anytime we talk about water rights, I think you immediately flash to the Republican River in Nebraska versus Kansas. How does this issue compare, or does it compare?
It's very comparable. The Central District is basically like the surface water users in Kansas who are complaining about groundwater pumpers in Nebraska drying up their stream flow. Here, the groundwater pumpers drying up the Platte River or contributing to reduced stream flow in the Platte River are the Nebraska groundwater pumpers in the Platte Basin. So it's a very comparable type of situation. But they're doing a lot more about it in Kansas because of the compact. In Kansas, on the Republican, we've cut off new wells. Irrigators are limited in terms of what they pump, and they don't get to pump all they want. And in dry years, they have to do extra things like shut down wells close to the river and buy surface water from irrigators to send it to Kansas and stuff like that.
So cutting to the end, would the NRDs go for this, do you think?
No, I don't think they want what is happening to the groundwater irrigators on the Republican to happen to groundwater irrigators on the Platte, but I do think something like that is probably going to be part of the solution if we're going to look at this in a long-term way.
Aiken says it's important to remember that this is just a proposal, and we may be talking about the issue for years to come.